What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today we are going to be teaching you the simplest way to count cards. Now, counting cards is pretty difficult, but with time and effort, you will be able to master it pretty easily. And it's pretty basic. There are a lot more complicated techniques that you can get into, but I'm going to be teaching you the simplest way to just learn how to do it quick and easy. So the basics of counting cards is that you have a full deck of 52. Your standard casino would probably be playing with 4 to 8 decks, so you gotta always keep that in mind. But just to begin, you're gonna only want one deck, and then you can gradually add more in as you get better. It's going to be difficult the first few times you do it anyway, so always remember that. You just gotta put in the hours to get good at it, and then pretty soon it's gonna be like second nature. So the basics of counting cards is that you have your +1 cards, which is your 2, your 3, your 4, your 5, and 6. You have your 0 cards, which are 7, 8, 9. You don't add or minus anything with these cards. These are basically just dead cards. You don't even count them. And then with time, you'll see these numbers and you'll just completely block them out of your memory because you just know they're zeros. And then you have -1, which is 10, Jack, Queen, King, and Ace. The reason this simple setup works is because the more +1s you get, the more likely you're going to get Jacks, Queens, Kings, Aces, and 10s. And your zeros, you're always going to get in between those, of course. But the higher the number gets, the more likely it is to get blackjacks. And if you and the dealer end up getting some zeros in your hand, you're going to end up with a lot better chance of the dealer busting because you know that the higher cards are coming out. And of course, there's a lot more that goes into the game, but here you're just learning how to count the cards. You're not even thinking about the game. You're just learning how to count the cards. So just remember, +1 is 2 through 6, -1 is 10, Jack, Queen, King, and Ace, and then your zeros are 7, 8, 9. So you just need to make the mental commitment to just basically count the 7, 8, 9s as nothing for now. And then if you want to get in more complicated strategies, you can, but you're just learning the basics of counting cards right now. So let me show you guys a couple hands and we'll get into it. Alright, so I'm going to give you guys the quick rundown of how to count cards, and just understand that it's not really going to make that much sense why this works using just one deck, but this is how you're going to learn, is just using one deck, and then you're going to add multiple decks over time. So just be aware of that. And this is my 4 because there's no 4 of hearts in here, so when you see that, know it's the 4 of hearts. Let's shuffle up a little bit. Really awkward to shuffle the way I'm standing over this camera right now. So the basics of counting cards, you already know what cards we're looking for, so now let's go through them. This is -1. This is +1, so now we're back at 0. So -1 +1, so we're at 0 right now. -1, back to 0 because we added 1 again. Now we're at +1 because that was a 6. +2, back to 1, back to 0, -1. This is a 0, so we're at -1 still. 0, -2, 0, so we're at -2 still. 0, so we're at -2 still. 1, we're back to -1. Now we're at 0 again. Back to -1. -2. Back to -1. 0. -1. 0. Back to -1. 0 again. 1. This is a 0, so we're still at 1. Back to 0. -1. Back to 0. +1. Back to 0. -1. A 0, so we're still at -1. Another -1, so we're at -2 now. A 0. Another 0, so we're still at -2. Another 0. -3, -4, so now we should start seeing some lower cards because we're getting higher up in the negative numbers. Another 0, we're still at -4 though. -3, a 0. We're still at -3, -2, back to -3, back to -2, back to -3, -2, -1, 0, -1, and both of these last two cards, one should be a 0 and one should be a +1 because we're at -1. The 4, so 0 and a 0. So that's what your objective when you're trying to count cards is, get all the numbers and end at 0. So we'll go through that one more time a little fast. When you're doing it in your head, it's way more difficult. So I would start doing it out loud, and then as you start to understand it, start to do it in your head. And also try to do it sober because it's very difficult when you're under the influence. If you want to challenge yourself, then there you go. But this is a very good challenge right here. So let's do it one more time. All right, so we're gonna do it one more time. I'm gonna show you guys how I practice it. You can use the numbers if you want, if you need them. You can just use this video and keep the numbers on the side. That's what I did. I found a video almost exactly like this one. And I would just keep the cards there, the +1s, the 0s, and the -1s on the little screen, and then I would have a reference for when I was counting. So you can do that with this video as well. So let's get into it. 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So we already burned through so many, so if this was a real game, we'd probably want to leave. 4, -4, -3, -2, -1, back to 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. We should start seeing some pictures and some 0s now. 4, 3, 2, 0, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Back to 0. That's what you always want to end on, is 0. And that was a pretty interesting run right there. I wasn't expecting that. So in reality, that would have been a good hand. You would have just been down the first few, and then the good cards would have started coming out. But don't really be thinking about the game. You're really just trying to get good at counting cards, because when you're in the actual game, it's going to be a lot harder to count cards. So you just want to get good at it by yourself first. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's definitely different than videos I've been making, but I want to do other stuff on this channel than just options trading and stock market videos. So I thought this would be a really interesting one. It challenges your brain and you can get really good at cards. So why not? It's pretty fun as well. It's just a good mental challenge. So be sure to try it out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Be sure to check us out live. We're live Monday through Friday, market open to market close. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.